跟朋友出去吃饭喝酒，然后回来跟小孩就是倒霉的那种，动不动都打，动不动都打。缝了3针，这是第一次。警察跟我讲，他是第一次打你，你还是原谅他了。我也不懂保护令有什么用，就算有保护令，他还是打。我一定要忍下去嘛，为了小孩，就是没有台湾身份证，我就要回去越南，看不到孩子。我妈妈说不可以动不动都讲离婚，这个就是你的命，在越南没有人帮我。我那时候靠自己在长途跑的时候，找过移民署，找过海基会，找过区公所。外籍妈妈不要像我走的一样太多的弯路，没有说外籍妈妈就得不到监护权。在你受暴以后，找对了地方，还是可以做的。
For thousands of foreign nationals in Taiwan married to Taiwanese citizens, domestic abuse is not a dark fantasy. It's reality, as Vietnamese national A Yue found out. When A Yue's husband first began beating her, she went to the police, but they seemed dismissive. They advised her to forgive her Taiwanese husband as it was his first offense, and they promised to help if he hit her again. The abuse continued, however, even after A Yue obtained a protection order against her husband.
Back then, I was so afraid that if I divorced, I would have to return to Vietnam and might never see my child again. When my ex-husband often lashed out at me, I was 8 months pregnant, so I couldn't fly back and could only give birth in Taiwan. I was told to endure it. Then, when my son turned 1, what had been previous quarrels escalated into physical abuse. When my ex-husband hit me the second time, I applied for a protection order. The protection order didn't stop him from abusing me.
Then one day, A Yue was directed to a shelter for victims of domestic violence. That changed everything. At the shelter, social workers guided her through the process of leaving her husband, filing for divorce, and securing custody of her 2 children. Choices she had previously been told were impossible. In 1998, when Taiwan established the Domestic Violence Prevention Act, it became the first Asian country to categorize domestic violence as a public crime. The law requires reporting and victim protection, but in practice, it often fails foreign spouses of Taiwanese citizens. For some victims, the gap between legal protections and reality can leave them trapped in abusive relationships for years. While A Yue sought help, that was not the case for Inda, who is from Indonesia. Help had to find her. For years, Inda endured abuse in silence, fearing deportation and losing her son, and believing her child needed his father.
I didn't have Taiwanese citizenship then. I kept thinking, if I go back to Indonesia, what would happen to my son? My mother always told me, you don't just speak of divorce the moment things get hard. You have to think of your children.
Her sense of entrapment may have continued indefinitely if her son had not told a teacher about the abuse at home. The teacher then helped her contact social services, and following the teacher's advice, Inda called the 113 domestic abuse hotline and received support from social workers. Advocates say these cases are not isolated incidents, but part of a recurring cycle faced by many foreign spouses seeking help in Taiwan. Hong Manzhi, head of the Transasia Sisters Association Taiwan, says she sees a vicious cycle of reality every day.
The
reality is this. They get beaten. They flee to their friends to seek shelter. Then the husband begs them to come back. They think of their children at home, so they return to take care of them. Then the beating happens again. They run away again, and the husband and mother-in-law come to plead yet again.
For Xiaoling, an abused spouse originally from China, seeking help felt like a maze as she spent months shuttling between government offices, often leaving more confused than before.
A social worker told me it wasn't safe for me and my child to be out on the streets,
and offered to find us a shelter. I was worried and asked, "What if it's nowhere near my child's school?" They didn't have an answer for me. Back then, I was just so afraid of the unknown. My own case proves just how many gaps there are in the system. I've taken so many detours. It took me a very long time just to find the right help. Getting help isn't easy. It requires an immense amount of courage to even try.
The number of reported abuse cases involving foreign spouses in Taiwan remains steady at about 2,000 a year from 2020 to 2024. But these numbers may seriously understate the problem. A study conducted by National Taiwan University in 2025 found that victims endure abuse for over 4 years before reporting it, and many struggle to find shelters after escaping.
In many areas, survivors were previously allowed to stay in temporary shelters for about 2 weeks only, a time frame that kept them trapped in a repetitive cycle of abuse once they returned home. After we voiced our concerns, the central government responded by extending the time limit to 3 months.
In 2020, a social housing project was launched in Linkou in New Taipei, offering domestic abuse survivors up to 2 years of housing. Designed to facilitate healing, it includes 20 housing units, counseling rooms, quiet spaces, playrooms for children, and access to psychotherapy services. It's been seen as a model shelter, but funding issues may limit its adoption elsewhere.
Some counties and cities have significant resource constraints and can't provide adequate services. As a result, their annual funding, specifically for shelter and essential programs, is often depleted early in the year. Once those funds dry up, the lack of financial support for survivors and their children becomes a critical issue.
In Miaoli, small steps are also being taken to improve the shelter situation, which currently offers survivors only temporary accommodation in shared apartments. Despite its tight budget, the county government is aiming to open a new centrally located facility this year that will expand capacity to 12 survivors.
We chose this location because it offers convenient access to schools and a reliable public transit system. It is also close to hospitals and parks and ensures that survivors can easily access the support they need. The more funding we have, the more diverse our services can be, and the fewer restrictions we'll face. But even when the budget is tight, our core services are never halted. Our shelters are always open.
The Ministry of Health and Welfare said its abuse prevention budget rose 50% from 5 billion NT dollars in 2020 to 7.5 billion in 2023 and continues to increase. Despite the increasing funding, access to justice remains a barrier for survivors of domestic abuse.
I've helped many survivors apply for pro bono lawyers for their divorce cases, but many applicants failed to qualify. Having even a small amount of savings or insurance was enough to make them ineligible for free legal aid. These sisters are terrified. They are fleeing abuse and they need to pay rent and support their children's future. If the little savings they have are drained by legal fees, they have nothing left to live on and don't know how to survive.
For foreign spouses, reporting domestic abuse once meant risking their residency in Taiwan. But under revised laws, all they need is a police report of the abuse to stay in Taiwan.
Under the current immigration regulations, foreign spouses who obtain divorce due to domestic violence can apply for residency in Taiwan. They can renew their 1-year residency permit each time it expires, as long as they have not remarried, and they do not need to provide any other reason.
Taiwan's safety net for abuse victims has grown significantly stronger over the years. But the real test is whether it can reach and support foreign spouses in their darkest hours. The true challenge lies in bridging the gulf between written law and lived reality, so that foreign abuse victims can move beyond survival and have a strong chance to start afresh. Shi Xiujuan, Jennifer Aurelia, and Rick Yi in Taipei for CNA.